What's up, Scrappy peeps? It's Del from Inkie Quill, and I've got a multiple photo layout for you today. It's a 9x12 layout. I always try to make my multiple photo ones 9x12 instead of 8.5x11, just to give me that extra tiny little bit of space. You'd be surprised, there is a lot of difference between 8.5x11 and 9x12. It doesn't sound like a big gap, but it is when you're scrapping lots of photos. So I'm really trying to use up my stash of papers. I've been talking about it all year. I'm trying to, especially the ones that I have two of, because quite often if there's a paper that I fancy, I do get two of them, or sometimes like this wood grain came in a paper kit, and so in the kit there was two of every paper. So it's nice to kind of feel a bit guilt-free when you use the spare paper up, I guess you could say, the second one. But I'm really trying to actually use all of my paper. I need to just get it out of my stash. So to do so, I had the backing paper is this kind of turquoisey greeny color, and it's an older, I don't know what brand it is. I don't know what brand it is, but the color, the color's a little muted. It's not a real bright, saturated color. It's a little more vintage dull, and so every time I go to pick it up, I put it back because it's not bright enough to go with the embellishments that I want to use. And so this is a great way to use it and just have a tiny bit of it peeking out. I know that if it was a paper that I loved, that I wanted to keep, I could easily just cut out the center of the paper and put the wood grain over the top. But alas, I'm trying to use it and get it out of my stash so that I can stop ignoring it, because that's what I've been doing. So for today's layout, I'm doing a really simple grid style. This is one of my favorite multiple photo things to do because it allows me to use up lots and lots and lots of scraps. So I've pulled open my blues and turquoise scrap drawer, and I'm going through and I'm just piling up different layers, and I'm trying to keep, if there's like this bold darker aqua paper is quite eye-catching, so to balance it out, I'm putting one piece in the top right, one piece in the top left, just so that if I did them both on the one side of the page, then it would be a little heavy on that side, I guess you could say, but this way it kind of balances it out a bit. So if you are doing a layout like this, I would suggest doing your boldest or brightest or busiest, all the B's, papers first, and then work down to just like the neutrals, like a black and white polka dot, or something that doesn't stand out as much. So just going through, and I matted. Whenever I do grid style layouts like this, I always try to mat all of the photos with the same paper to start off with, or just with white, which is what I've done today. And I find that that helps give them a little bit of similarity between them, because each paper layer is quite different, and it helps tie it all together. And you can see some of them I've torn the bottom of the paper layers, others I have cut, some of them go completely around the paper, others just go around half of it. It was based a little bit on how much paper I had because some of the patterns I only had little strips, and I of course couldn't cover the entire photo with that, like this little turquoise bit here. Other times it's based on, so for example, you can see with that top right photo, I have the papers poking out a lot more on the right hand side, and that's because I like my layers to be heavier on the edges rather than in the center. So I've repeated that exact same thing with the bottom left photo, and you can see all of the papers are poking out on the left side of it, and so they're on the paper border side, I guess is the best way to explain it. So once they're all layered up, it's time to stick them down, and the paper layers are different heights and widths, of course, because I've used different types of papers. But I tried to get the photos so they were in line with each other, just so that it was a little bit more even and you weren't as distracted by the paper layers. They're kind of just there as a little added extra feature. So then I am trying to go through my wood veneer, and I had this bag of broken words. So they had been a bit battered in the post, and so they arrived with a few broken bits. Still completely usable, but I just had to work out. It did take me a while off camera, I won't lie, to figure out what these two words were, because I had the OW as an MO and the I just had it all wrong, and I spent a long time trying to figure out what they actually said. But Grow Wild was just perfect for these photos. So these were all taken in the same week, and when Archie was 1, almost 2, and they just show his goofballness. This is just what a day in the life of Archie's like. You've got the mad scientist hair, you've got ridiculous poses, silly faces, exploring things with the torch, and just running around with a bowl on his head. That pretty much sums up my day. Then I have been doing this technique lately. I've filmed a whole bunch of process videos that you'll see probably over the next few months using this, and it's so quick and easy to do. It doesn't take too many supplies, and it just gives such an added pop to your wood veneer. So all I'm doing is I'm using some Posca paint pens, and I'm just painting on top of the wood veneer. I haven't gessoed it. I haven't done anything to prep it. The paint pens are great because they're so pigmented, and the wood veneer does suck in some of the wet paintiness, but you can't see any of the wood veneer through it, which I really, really love. You could probably achieve the same thing just with normal acrylic paint and a paintbrush. However, it's very tedious. I have tried it before, and it's tricky, and it doesn't quite give the same smooth finish. So even if you were to just add a black paint pen to your supplies, and maybe one color that you always like to use, like if you're a red person, red's a really nice color to use in titles. And then I am going to, after I've stuck all of my embellishments on so that I don't stick my finger in the glue, which I learnt from the layout that I filmed previous to this, I'm going to put some glossy accents over the top. So glossy accents is a type of glue. It dries hard and shiny. So if you put it on top of something, it kind of gives you a kind of like an enamel finish to it. So by putting it on top of the words, it makes it look like they're not wood veneer anymore. It makes them look all shiny and glossy. Hence the name Glossy Accents. It glossifies the accents of your page. Then I use this as an opportunity to use some of my little sprinkly bits that were brightly coloured, and also try and use up some of these half finished little chipboard sheets that I have hanging around. There's a lot of phrases that I find quite specific and I don't always reach for, and so this was a good opportunity to try and pile as many of those on my page as I possibly can. I've got this little container that I've been keeping on my desk lately with probably about 6 to 8 half-used sticker sheets in it, and so every time I scrapbook, I look through those sticker sheets first and chipboard sheets immediately before I look at other stickers and things, so that I can use anything possible and get them out of my stash. So if you find that you're kind of drowning in supplies and sticker sheets at the moment and things are half used, just pick a couple of them, a small selection, 5 to 10, pop them in a container right on your desktop or right on your scrapping space. Or if you're a couch scrapper, or if you scrap on your dining table, keep them somewhere easy where you can drag them out, put them right there and look through them before you start embellishing every single page or card making, whatever you may do. And you do actually use up the stuff. It takes a little while, but they get used up, which is really exciting. And then you can just replace it with the more half-used stuff from your stash. I'm adding a couple of little sprinkly bits here. I always get questions about these hearts and stars. I bought them ages ago off eBay. I think I just typed in tiny hearts and stars stickers. I haven't been able to find them again, so I don't think the seller's selling them anymore, but you can find similar small little stickers on eBay. It's a great spot to find little stickers and things. Adding a tiny bit of journaling because I just felt like there was a bit of a gap under my title. And then I added some doodled little stars. I wish I hadn't. I don't quite like the look of them, but they're there now, so we're just rolling with it. Then it's time to add my glossy accents, and for once I didn't have to fight too much with my glossy accents bottle. It's been pretty good with unclogging. I know you can stick, because the nozzle is so skinny and thin and teeny, the glue dries up very, very easily in there. So I always try to put the lid straight back on after using it. And you can also use, the plastic kind of line bit that comes in clothing tags. So if a clothing tag is attached to something, it's got that little white or black plastic strip that attaches it to the clothes. I hope that makes sense. You can cut that and poke that through the hole of the glossy accents. I've also heard of people using like a pin that can sometimes add rust to your glue, so just be careful with that, but it's a really easy way to keep it unclogged. I hope you enjoyed this layout, peeps, and the photos show what the glossy accent looks like when it's dry. It takes ages to dry. I'd leave it overnight before putting it back in a page protector, but it's a really fun shiny finish. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!